Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting Srimad Bhagvatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nandana Rishi, the Supreme Person, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagvatam, and unto Mother Saraswati. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Gurave Gaurachandraye Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Granth Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4. We read till text number 2 yesterday. So we were discussing that how Hiranyakashipu had asked for a lot of benedictions, material benedictions, to get an immortal life practically, and Brahmaji granted them all the different conditions he had put forward. But Prabhupada made a very nice point that material benedictions are like asking for curse for oneself. They're not exactly worth of being called benedictions. And we discussed some example how Chitraketu Maharaj asked for a child and then it became a curse later. How Bhasmasura asked for benediction from Lord Shiva, it became the cause of his death, and many such examples. So one should ask for spiritual benedictions. I think I wanted to make one point yesterday, which due to time we didn't reach that point. So I think Bipul Prabhu mentioned this point that approaching the Supreme Lord directly, which will come actually in this chapter, is a better idea. Provided what is the mood of approaching. If we approach demigods, oh, you are our master, you are the right person to be approached, and we keep aside the Supreme Lord, then yes, then it is not a very healthy idea. But if we consider that how demigods approach Lord Brahma as a spiritual master, which he is, and as a Mahajan, which he is, so then it is also said that we cannot approach Krishna directly. We approach Krishna through the spiritual master, and that is the right way. So there are two aspects of the same thing. It depends on what aspect we look into. So let's start with text number 3, chapter 4. Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. Tato jagam bhagavan amogha anugraho vibhu pujito asura varyena stu yamanaha prajeshwarahi. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Then Lord Brahma, who awards infallible benedictions, departed, being worshipped by the best of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, and being praised by great sages and saintly persons. So, very straightforward. Lord Brahma gave him all the benedictions, and then he went back to his loka. He had come with other rishis like Bhrigu, Daksha, etc. So he said that, okay, whatever you want will be granted. So, let's see what happens next. Yes, would someone like to read? So, I believe everyone will get a chance to read today. Let's start.
I can read.
Please.
Hare Krishna devotees. Text number 4. Evam labda varo daityo bibrad temam yam vapu bhagavati akrat devasam brattur vadam anusmaram. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The demon Hiranyakashipu, having thus been blessed by Lord Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continued to remember the death of his brother and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu. A demoniac person, in spite of acquiring all the opulences possible to obtain in this universe, continues to be envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Hiranyakashipu, after being granted all the benedictions that he got, that he wanted, which Lord Brahma granted him, and having a lustrous golden body, but the back of his mind, he still thinks of his brother. That's in spite of knowing that the body and spirit and having consoled all his relatives and so on earlier. But he still has the revenge and envious motive against Lord Vishnu. Back to you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. This shows that envy is so deep-rooted, so deep-rooted. Imagine the harsh tapasya he had done, the siddhis which he had attained. All those could not cure the envy. So, interesting point that he continued to have envy. Let's read the next 3 verses together. Yes, Sundari Priya Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances of devotees to Srila Prabhupada. Text 5 to 7. Sa vijitya disha sarva lokam chatrin mahasura devasura manusrendra Gandharva garudoragan siddha charana vidhadharan hrisin pitrapatin manun Yaksas raksha pisaceshan preta bhutapatin api sarvasattva patin jitva vasham aniya vishyajit jahara loka palanam sthanani saha tejasa. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hiranyakashipu became the conqueror of the entire universe. Indeed, that great demon conquered all the planets in the 3 worlds, upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of the human beings, the Gandharvas, the Garudas, the great serpents, the siddhas, Caranas, and Vidhadharas, the great saints, Yamarajas, the Manus, the Yaksas, the Raksasas, the Pisacas and their masters, and the masters of the coasts and Bhutas. He defeated the rulers of all the other planets where there are living entities and brought them under his control. Conquering the abodes of all, he seized their power and influence. Purport. The word Garuda in this verse indicates that there are 3 planets of great birds like Garuda. Similarly, the word Uraga indicates that there are planets of enormous serpents. Such a description of the various planets of the universe may challenge modern scientists who think that all planets but this Earth are vacant. These scientists claim to have launched excursions on the moon where they have found no living entities but only big craters full of dust and stone, although in fact the moon is so brilliant that it acts like the sun in illuminating the entire universe. Of course, it is not possible to convince modern scientists of the Vedic information about the universe. Nonetheless, we are not very much impressed by the words of scientists who say that all other planets are vacant and that only the Earth is full of living entities. day. So here we see with all the benedictions that he got, how he conquered the entire universe. There was all the three worlds, the upper, middle, lower, all including the human beings, Gandharvas, all birds, animals, all kinds of living entity he conquered basically. And we can see that even the great saints were under his and the ghost, Pisacas, even Yamaraj, all of them were defeated basically, and then he became the ruler, and then that's and he has so much power and so much influence all over the planets, different planets, and Srila Prabhupada explains here that Garuda, which is Krishna's own private plane where the bird is he's the one who transports Vishnu, and even they have their own planet, and then urgas, that are the serpents, they are enormous. So we as living entities on earth think we're the highest because we have this false ego, and we think we are the greatest, and that's why all other planets must not have any inhabitants. But in actuality, Prabhupada explains here that even the moon is so big that it is so brilliant, and it illuminates the entire universe. If we see just one moon can do that, so the scientists who claim that the other planets have no life, they still haven't even gone successfully to so many planets, and they don't have proper Vedic information of what the universe consists of, and how many worlds there are, and how tiny our Bhumandala is, and how small the influence of human beings is in the entire. And we can see in today's epidemic that how one virus can infect the entire human race and shut it down completely. And that is just one little example of when the nature calls. We as living entities on earth have no control, and just because there is the scientists have big theories and this and that, it does not mean that the whole planet is full of living entities, or the other planets may not have any. So these theories are just concoctions, and if you take the real knowledge, it is from the scriptures that we get that how these worlds are set up. And Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that he controlled each one of them. That's what happens when a person gets such kind of benediction. They terrorize the entire existence, and we'll see what happens. Thank you, Prabhuji. Please explain further. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So all these creatures, of course, in their different planets, Hiranyakashipu had taken the benediction that no one created by you can cause any trouble. So all these creatures, the Gandharvas, the serpent, the siddhas, Caranas, the demons, the demoniac, Raksasad, Pisacas, everyone, the ghost, he conquered everyone, because all these are creations of Lord Brahma. So let's see what happens when he controlled everyone. And we discussed this tendency to control is very, very deep-rooted. Tendency to be the master, tendency to be... But what is a good way to have to dovetail this tendency? Tendency to control our mind and senses. That is very healthy. We should dovetail this tendency to control others. Everyone, the husband has tendency to control wife, the wife has tendency to control husband and children and other people and other, one wants to be a bigger controller because that's how we are here. This tendency is to be envious, the controllership mentality. But if we control our mind and senses and let ourselves be controlled by Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, then we will reach the destination. And this Nagaloka, I think this comes, we have discussed all these planets in the fifth canto, Bhagavad Cosmology. how Bhima was sent to Nagaloka he was poisoned, and then they gave him special nectar, etc. A lot of pastimes are there. We are very small to understand the modern with gadgets and so-called microscopes and telescopes. This is beyond our realm, and we discussed the reason why we can't see. So I'm not sure how many of you remember, but we discussed in detail why we can't see those planets, the other planets. We only see a very tiny section of Jambudvipa, which has 9 varshas, which has 9 khandas or divisions, and we see only a tiny division of that khanda. But that does not mean that's not there. That does not mean all this is fairy tale. That does not mean all that is mythology. That means that we are limited, so we have to approach the higher authorities, Shabda Praman, to understand the true knowledge in perspective. The knowledge obtained from direct sense perception, that is called pratyakshapraman, is not a very good way of attaining knowledge. So let's continue. Okay. Nayan Prabhu, you want to read next verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So the main reason why we cannot see all is also because of our limited senses or limited capabilities also, right Prabhuji?
Limited capacity, limited senses, the progression of Kali Yuga, many reasons are there. Like the demigods used to come earlier, but now they don't want to come. It's all crap here.
Right.
So, and then they conceal those. So,
thank you.
Plus if we go, we won't be allowed. We discussed. I will share that in the. I'll ask ISKCON Prabhu to upload that. It was one of my favorite topics actually. And in the book Bhagavad Cosmology, it is said that it's $1 million question. So that's how they started that topic. We already, I'll try to find that recording and we'll upload that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yes, Nayan Prabhu. Please.
All glories to Prabhupada. Text 8. Devodayana Sriya Justam Vadhiyaste Shatri Pishtapam Mahendra Bhavanam Shakshan Nirmitam Vishakarma Trailoka Lakshami Avintam Adhiya Vashikalir Adhyatmat. Translation and part by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hiranyakashipu, who possessed all opulence, began residing in heaven with its famous Nandana garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by the demigod architect Vishwakarma and was beautifully made as if the goddess of fortune of the entire universe resided there. From this description, it appears that all the heavenly planets of the upper planetary system are thousands upon thousands of times more opulent than lower planetary system in which we live. Vishwakarma, the famous heavenly architect, is known as the constructor of many wonderful buildings in the upper planets, where there are not only beautiful buildings but also many opulent gardens and parks, and which are described as Nandana Devodana gardens, quite fit to be enjoyed by the demigods. This description of the upper planetary system and its opulences is to be understood from authoritative scriptures like the Vedic literature. Telescopes and other imperfect instruments of scientists are inadequate for evaluating upper planetary system. Although such instruments are needed because the vision of so-called scientists is imperfect. The instruments themselves are also imperfect. Therefore, the upper planets cannot be appraised by the imperfect man using imperfect man-made instruments. Direct information received from Vedic literature, however, is perfect. We therefore cannot accept the statement that there are no opulent residences on the planet other than this earth. So in this verse, Prabhupada further explains, like Hiranyakashipu started living on the Nandana garden, which was like a design and constructed by architect Vishwakarma, who is known for like constructor and designer of all the many wonderful infrastructure in upper planetary system. And also in this verse, like what Shuddha Prabhu was asking, like why we cannot see, why our scientists cannot see, like Prabhupada further explain here. Prabhupada used to call the scientists as rascal in many purport before. Like this one also saying like they have imperfect vision, and also they are using their imperfect instrument. Therefore, they cannot see that, they cannot understand that how opulent the upper planetary system is, and also which can only be understood through the authoritative scripture like Vedic literature. Which goes back to you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So we discussed that pratyakshapraman, direct sense perception, we cannot see this. Shabdapraman, through authorized scriptures, we can see. Through Guru Sadhu and Shastra. Through Jnana Chakshu, through Shastra Chakshu. And that is a better way of attaining, that is the best way actually of attaining knowledge. Not even the things we can directly perceive. For example, we cannot see Vrindavan through our eyes. If we go to Vrindavan, then we'll see some, some roads, some temples, some grass, some water ponds. But what will we understand? But when we hear, oh, this is the place where Krishna jumped over Kaliya, and this is called Kaliyade. This is that historic place. This is that place. This is the transcendental place. Oh, this is the place where the Damodar Leela happened. Oh, this is the place where Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami used to perform their bhajan. Then we will understand. Otherwise, it will be just a tree for us. Otherwise, it will be just an ordinary temple for us or an ordinary water body. So our whole, bhakti process is based on Shabda Praman. That is understanding from authorized Vedic literatures, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. The spiritual master, the sadhus, the saintly devotees and the scriptures. All three are in straight line. And that leads us to Krishna. And then Prabhupada also says that many times, don't have this Dr. Frog mentality. Dr. Frog means, if I cannot imagine that, how can then there be Nandana Devopadyan? Udyan means a garden. Deva, the garden of the demigods. So we may not be able to perceive. We may not be able to perceive Pushpak Viman, which ran with the power of mind. Why? Because we are so succumbed to, filling gas and engine and problems and flat tire and engine problem, brake problem, this problem. Then we can't perceive of something which just runs with the power of mind. We cannot perceive Kardam Muni's, aerial palatial mansion. Aerial mansion. Because it is like a Dr. Frog mentality. We cannot perceive that, therefore we think it is false. But it is not false. Our senses are limited. Our instruments are limited. Our intelligence is limited. So we have to take the shelter of higher intelligence. That's Shabda Praman. One story which comes to my mind, very interesting story about Nandana Gardens. One time there was a gentleman, and not a very pious person, had done a lot of bad activities, and he had a affair, and he was waiting for his partner at the banks of a water body, and he had brought some flowers, like a rose flower. He brought to gift it to his partner. So somehow that lady didn't come up for this man, and he was very, very upset, waiting, and he said, "What's the use of my life? This, that," and then by somehow it was his last, time, and he was drowning, and then he jumped in the water. Said, "It's not worth living." And as he was drowning, as he was about to give up his life, the flower in his hand, he said, "Okay, let me give it to," because I heard in my childhood one should give flowers to the Lord. So he said, "Om Krishnaya Namaha. Oh Krishna, please accept this flower, I give it to you." He just put in the water, and then he died. And then his records were open. Well, let's see what, the bad and good account he has done. So Yamaraj told him that, "Dear sir, look at your bad account. There are so many bad activities you have done. You did a lot of bad activities, meat eating, smoking, drinking, killing others. You didn't do practically anything good. But one thing you did very nice at the end of your life, that you offered this flower to Krishna. So we will take you, or you have two options now. One, you first bear, all the punishment of the bad activities that suffer in the hell, and then go to heavenly planets for some time, or very just few moments. You will go there, and rest of the time you have to, because majority of the activities you did were bad, so you will suffer in hell, in the lower planets. So what do you want to go through first?" He thought for a moment and said, "Okay, let me go to heaven first. Let me bear the reactions of my pious activities first." Okay, so they took him to Nandana Gardens. And he had a few moments there, and he was thinking, "My God, for one good activity, one thing I did towards Krishna, and such big result." He immediately, without wasting any moment, he started plucking flowers from that Nandana garden. Om Krishnaya Namah, Om Vasudevaya Namah, Om Devaki Nandanaya Namah, Om Nandanandaya Namah. All these names of Krishna, each and picking flowers and offering to the Lord. "Oh my Lord, please, I offer this at your lotus feet. I offer this at your lotus." And then his time to be in heaven was gone. And then Yamaraj opened the accounts, and all his bad account had been completely erased. All his bad account was completely gone, and from there he went back to Godhead. It's a very inspiring story, and very motivating, and it's connected to Nandan Gardens. So just thought to share with you. And it shows that how even little, neha bikraman nashasti pratyavayu na vidyate swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mehetu. Even little progress on this path can save one from the greatest dangers. Exactly, this story tells that. This is from one of the Puranas. I don't recall the exact Purana. Little progress. All his life was bad, similar to a Jamal story, kind of. One good act, one flower, patram pushpam phalam thoya. One flower he offered sincerely. Gajendra, one prayer he offered sincerely. one act has so much value. What to speak of someone who does it all his life, he dedicates to the service of the Lord. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, let's read the next verses. Yes, Prabir Prabhu, you want to read, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna devotees, Gandharvas Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Text 9 to 12. Jatra vidruma sopana mahamarkata bhuva yatra spotika buddhyani vaidujya stamba pankataya jatra chitra pitanani padma radha snanani cha aya fena nivas sabhya saya mukta dhama porichada pujjabhi nupurer devya shabda jantiya itastata ratna thalishu pashyanti sudati sudharam mukham tasmin mahendra bhavane mahabalo mohamana nijita loka ekara reme obhi bondiangri jugas suradibhi pratap te ujjita kanda shasana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The steps of King Indra's residence were made of coral. The floor was bedecked with invaluable emeralds. The walls were of crystal and the columns were of Vidhadharas stone. The wonderful canopies were beautifully decorated. The seats were bedecked with rubies, and the silk bedding, as white as foam, was decorated with pearls. The ladies of the palace, who were blessed with beautiful hips and the most wonderful, beautiful faces, walked here and there in the palace, their ankle bells tingling melodiously, and saw their own beautiful reflections in the gems. The demigods, however, being very much oppressed, had to bow down and offer obeisances at the feet of Hiranyakashipu, who chastised the demigods very severely and for no reason. Thus Hiranyakashipu lived in the palace and severely ruled everyone. Purport. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful in the heavenly planets that all the demigods, except Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, were forced to engage in his service. Indeed, they were afraid of being severely punished if they disobeyed him. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has compared Hiranyakashipu to Maharaj Brahma, who was also atheistic and scornful of the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. Yet Maharaj Brahma was afraid of some of the great sages such as Bhrigu, whereas Hiranyakashipu ruled in such a way that everyone feared him but Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Hiranyakashipu was so alert against being burned to ashes by the anger of great sages like Bhrigu that by dint of austerity he surpassed their power and placed even them under his subordination. It appears that even in the higher planetary system to which people are promoted by pious activities, disturbances are created by Asuras like Hiranyakashipu. No one in the three worlds can live in peace and prosperity without disturbance. Hare Krishna. So here two aspects, no, three. In the translation, we can see the great detail by Narad Muni and then by Shukadev Goswami about the heavenly planets. And then also in the purport, we can see Srila Prabhupada's great detailed explanation about Hiranyakashipu's behavior, attitude. Prabhupada compared him like to Maharaj Bena. He quoted from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And if we remember, we read about Bena. He was the grandson of Dhruva Maharaj. But he was ultimately actually vanished by the curse of the priest. But Hiranyakashipu looks like he was aware of those things. He was concerned about Prithu's saintly personality as well as his capacity. So by his austerity, he even surpassed his power and placed them under his subordination. So, last point Prabhupada made it very clear that disturbance is going to be there all the three worlds except in the Vaikuntha planet. So Prabhupada is saying that by pious activities, we can go to the different higher planetary system, but there is a high chance that disturbances are going to be created by Asuras like Hiranyakashipu. So Prabhupada is warning us that time to be practice Bhakti Yoga so that we don't need to go to the higher planets. Hare Krishna Prabhu, back to you, please, Advocate.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hiranyakashipu means one who is attached to gold and women. That's a literal meaning. That's what we see here. Firstly, he got a lot of power, but the problem is that he misutilized his power. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So more power or more resources or more, any material thing, that means more responsibility. But Hiranyakashipu was chastising the demigods for no reason, and very severely. Just imagine the words used here. He was chastising them very severely for no reason. The great kings like Yudhishthira Maharaj, Lord Brahma, etc., they also had a lot of power, but they never used the power for wrong reason. That's a big difference between a demoniac person and a devotee. Devotee may or may not have power, but even if one has power, one should use it for the right. So this is a great lesson that we all of us have some degree of power, some degree of resources, Krishna's resources, in different capacities. But those powers, those resources should be used with a lot of responsibility. One could be a leader for a group, one could be, a leader for a community, one could be leader in a company or any other aspect. And there may be some powers with that. But those powers should not be used for wrong reasons. Hiranyakashipu used his power just to show that, yes, I am the one who is controlling you. I am the one whom you should follow. Otherwise, you will be punished. Not a very healthy approach. On the contrary, a true leader, like Lord Ram is showing by example, a leader, does not demand respect. He commands respect. He serves the people so nicely that everyone wants to follow him. He's so caring, loving, and gentle towards everyone that everyone wants to say, oh, we want Lord Ram to be our leader. We don't want to live without him. But in this situation, totally opposite. He was oppressing them. He was exploiting them practically. He had taken their position, taken their things which were supposed to be for them, and just enjoying the gold and the pleasures and punishing. So it's a great lesson that we have to try to kill the Hiranyakashipu mentality within, that even if whatever little power, we don't have that much power for sure, but whatever little power, little energies of Krishna, little resources we have, whatever position we may be in society, in community, in home, in spiritual society, we use our power, our position very, very wisely and take lessons from Lord Ram's leadership, not Hiranyakashipu's leadership. Any other comments anyone has? Okay, let's read the next one.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sorry.
Yes.
Prabhu, here Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti compared Hiranyakashipu with Maharaja Veena. Could you give some reference to that, Prabhu? Why he was so compared with Maharaj Veena, and why Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti has to compare him with that?
So, a very good question, Prabhu. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is a great acharya in our Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Prabhupada often quotes the references from what other acharyas have spoken. Can someone please turn off their mic, please? Someone's phone is not on mute. Okay, yeah. When you're not speaking, please keep your phones on mute. That helps everyone. So, yeah, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is a great acharya, and Prabhupada often, takes. Prabhupada is giving us the gist. Imagine, what we would understand what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur speaks about this shloka, what Sridhar Swami speaks about this. So, Prabhupada often brings those references for our benefit and for adding authenticity also. That it's not that Prabhupada just, Prabhupada has done so much research in giving us these purports. He was like an encyclopedia. He's so learned, of course, the Shakta Shavtar, completely giving us the essence of all the acharyas in his Bhaktivedanta purports. And therefore he said, this is not my book. I didn't write this book. Krishna wrote this book. So this is, in present day, these purports are very, very important. Because we won't be able to understand, they could be in different languages, either Bengali or Sanskrit. We won't be able to understand anything out of it. So it is the glory of Srila Prabhupada who is giving us these purports and quoting different acharyas like Sridhar Swami, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, etc. So these are different acharyas. So they certainly, these acharyas are no ordinary people. They are, pure devotees of the Lord. So their commentary has certainly very authentic. And then Prabhupada, so that we don't get bewildered or confused, Prabhupada, so for us, Prabhupada's commentary, that is a Bhaktivedanta purport, is most important. Now, who is Maharaj Veena? As Prabhu mentioned, he came in the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj, so we read in Canto 4. In Canto 4, we read his story. So how Dhruva Maharaj, and then Vena's father was Anga. So Vena was, in short, a bad king. Although he was in the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj, but he was a very cruel king. So therefore, this comparison is being done because the idea is that the reader has read Bhagavatam in sequence. So he has read the story of Vena. But just for quick reference, he also did something similar. He exploited Brahmanas, killed, he said, okay, you all should worship me. Don't worship Brahmanas, don't worship Krishna. He was exploiting. He was a very cruel king. Right from the childhood, he was killing other children. He used to play with them and kill them. That was his atrocity. His father, Anga Maharaj, was very upset. He tried his, everything. Later, he had to give up his body and he just retired, basically. And then from later, Vena tried to cause a lot of havoc, and that's where it's mentioned. He was afraid of great rishis like Bhrigu Muni, because his power was certainly high, but not as much as Hiranyakashipu. And later, the sages decided that his atrocities are crossing all bounds, and the Brahmanas have a lot of power. So, by the power of mantra, they killed Vena. But his body was preserved and then later churned, and from left thigh become the Nishad dynasty, and from the right, like please don't quote me if I interchange left or right, and from the right I believe came Prithu Maharaj, the ideal king.
So it's up from the upper right, Prithu Maharaj, and from the left his wife came out.
Very nice. So that's Vena, a bad king in short, which the story.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So here it says that, but Hiranyakashipu was, so alert that he put even these greater rishis under his control, right, Prabhuji? So that's why he was not even afraid of them.
Correct. Because all these rishis, etc., are creation of the Lord Brahma. We have discussed that Brahma is the first person, and then he creates everyone in the material world. So all these rishis, etc., are also his creation, and they are all his children in one way. So yes.
So because he got this benediction from Brahma, so I think they were not able to control him also.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then we have to always keep the frame of reference that the pastime, this has all been arranged that the pastime can flow, and the wonderful drama is also acting. So we have to always keep that in the back of our mind, right? Yes, so as I mentioned that, so he was only afraid of Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva. Apart from these three, he controlled everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, let's read one last verse for today.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please, Prabhu.
Chapter 4, text 30. Tama anga matam madhuno rup gandhina vrutta tamaraksham ashesha dhishnapya upasato payana panirbhirvina tribhista tapoyoga balo jasampadam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O my dear King, Hiranyakashipu was always drunk on strong-smelling wines and liquors, and therefore his coppery eyes were always rolling. Nonetheless, because he had powerfully executed great austerities in mystic yoga, although he was abominable, all but the three principal demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, personally worship him to please him by bringing him various presentations with their own hand. In the Skanda Purana, there is this description: Upayanam dadu sarve vina devana hiranyaka. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that everyone but the three principal demigods, namely Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, engaged in his service. Madhavacharya says, Aditya Vasavo Rudrashtri Vidhahi Sura Yataha. There are three kinds of demigods: the Adityas, the Vasu, and the Rudras, beneath whom are the other demigods like the Murutus and Sadhya. Murutus chaiva vishvacha sadhyas chaiva cha tadagataha. Therefore, all the demigods are called Trayistapa, and the same word Tray applies to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. So here, the story continuing, Narad Muni explaining further to the I forgot the name, Yudhishthira. Yeah. So the story continuing here, and more description has been given how he was so powerful, and almost he got everything, and all the demigods were serving him except Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. That's what the description has been given here, and Prabhupada ji has been explaining here what kind of the demigods are, and their hierarchy has been explained here. So, and the question last, the Prabhuji asked why he was being compared. So the Prabhupada ji is trying to tell that at least Maharaja Veena was afraid some of the sages. At least, even though he was a bad king, but he was at least afraid some of the sages like Bhrigu. That in the purport Prabhupada is giving. But Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that he's gone beyond that actually. And that is what Prabhupada ji is comparing him with Maharaja Veena. Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Just imagine the scene. And therefore, Bhagavatam, transposes us to that scene. Hiranyakashipu, the palace description was there. So nicely, imagine the jewels and the pearls and the emeralds and the walls studded in the columns of Vidhadharas stones. Such nice description. Extraordinarily, the Nandana garden was mentioned. He took the seat of Indra. And what were all they doing? They became the maid servants. He would say, Indra, bring me this wine. And Indra would come and with his own hands, is mentioned, Panibhi, by their own hands, he would bring various presentations. Just imagine this. So much power. So much power. And Indra is not an ordinary person. All these demigods are not ordinary persons. They have lot of power. Lot of power. Someone is controlling the rain department, the water department, the air department, the sun department. All these are extraordinary. We read. What's the dimension of the sun chariot? Thousands and thousands. The speed which it travels, 16,000 miles per second. We cannot imagine the power, the strength they have, the lifespan, the extraordinary things which they give. The Saturn, Jupiter, all these, Shani, Vani, all this. Hiranyakashipu controlled everyone except for Lord Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. That was his power. Really, Bhagavatam transposes us in that, so we can see. And we see how it's a demoniac qualities, drinking wine and liquor, strong smelling, with eyes, coppery eyes, which denotes passion, lust, envy, coppery red eyes. And we discuss how much he was attached to wealth and women. So, very abominable situation. All the austerities he did was to get this. So, any other comments or questions? Okay, so we will stop here and continue tomorrow with the next verse and see what happened to Hiranyakashipu while he was ruling the three worlds. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much for joining. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Anantakoti Vaishnavindi ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.